Comic books have been popular since the 1930s, but in some ways, they have never been more popular than they are right now. While Marvel and DC continue to dominate the scene, some fans are looking for something a little different and have found a new favorite comic book store on Kickstarter.
HEX11 is an ongoing indie comic series.
It's this kind of near future, almost dystopia where magic has kind of been discovered as a new energy source. It's Harry Potter meets Blade Runner. I lay out the entire book this roughly. Like the first part is where you can be the most experimental about what you're doing because I'm really just drawing chicken scratch stick figures. Then when I'm ready to draw it, I kind of go in and, blow everything up, make any final changes, and then it becomes this after I do shading and highlighting and effects.
Halloween of this year, it'll be 7 years since we debuted. We didn't know what was gonna happen after issue 1. We can go, we can do this. Who knows if people are gonna dig it or not? And if not, then we've had a good time or whatever. But then when we started getting the feedback that we got after our first issue, we were like, wow, we really need to find a way to keep this going.
We took a totally independent route, right? Because I was like, we're not gonna take these ideas and take them to someone else and have them tell us as women in this very male-dominated situation what we need to be doing. We did 9 cons that first year. And we would go and we would sell all the books, and then we would take that money. Lisa would start working on the next issue, and we'd have an issue done before the next show. That's how we got the first 6 issues done. So once we got 6 issues done, we were like, great, we can make a volume. And now we'll run a Kickstarter.
As a creator, you can really tell the stories that you want and tell them the way that you want to tell them. You can feature the characters and the voices that you want to feature without having someone tell you, this is never gonna sell in a comic shop. This is never going to be something that people are gonna look at and get excited about. You get to decide that. You can speak to the people that you wanna tell your story to.
The Kickstarter community, not just the people who run Kickstarter, but the people who go to Kickstarter to find content and support content, is really, really awesome. And it's a really robust and excited and enthusiastic community. As much as I love comic book shops and I love people who run comic book shops, there is a contingent of comic book shop owners who kind of give it all a bad name. They don't support diverse comics, even out of DC or Marvel. They don't order them, and they may not stock them, or they may stock very few of them. And so it comes back to Marvel as, oh, well, we're not selling enough of these books, so they cancel a title before it really ever had a chance to truly find its audience. In the end, they're a giant business, and they're looking at bottom lines, which I think is why independent creators are getting more attention.
Pet Human is the story of Buster, who is the human pet to an alien couple on a planet far, far away. And Buster's named after my dog, who I once looked down at while I was feeding him one night and wondered, what do you think is going on here? You're getting fed, you're happy, you have a routine, but do you understand what's going on? And that led me to think, what would it be like for me to be a pet human on an alien planet? There's an opportunity now with Kickstarter to reach an audience without the help of a big label. It's the new comic book store for indie artists who aren't under a major label like Marvel or DC or Image, who can go create something and take it right to the reader. When I was making movies, I used to write my scripts in a way where it's like, well, can we afford to shoot this? What's realistic? What are my limitations that have already been put on this project? With comics, there are no limitations. If you can think it, you can draw it. So I have a big idea, I don't have to limit myself. I can write it down and that's the idea. We have a $15,000 goal and we've already raised $7,300. Most of these people are people who will be found through digital advertising. I don't have enough friends and family to support me on this level, so it's really exciting to see support coming from a group of people I've never met before. There's stuff on Kickstarter that you can't even find in the store. I go to the comic book store and I see the books, and most of them are the ones with big marketing budgets behind them and plans for the future on the big screen, and they're all owned by the same 5 companies. And it looks like a new economic model is grown out of this, where you don't have to wonder, is my product gonna do okay once I go through all the work and spend all the money to get it out there. You can say, this is the idea I have, this is the vision, this is the promise I make to you, the reader. Please support me. and you see if it's going to do well or not. If the campaign isn't fulfilled, no one spends their money and no one's out. But once your campaign's fulfilled, your customers are already there waiting with their tickets in hand, who are excited to see it. The more money we raise, we get to put right into the next book. So, you try to sell your book and you try to just break even for the cost of providing it to the reader. And then the more money you make, maybe you get to make a profit, maybe you get to make another book, continue what you're doing.
If you'd like to browse more indie comic offerings or support the creators of HEX11 and Pet Human, head over to Kickstarter.com.